All right. So, welcome to our Working with Portraits webinar, designed to support the Memory Book Online Yearbook program. Our goal this afternoon will to be focused on the functions of the program associated with student portraits. Specifically, we will be reviewing your uploaded portrait images, going over printing class sheets. That way, teachers or parent volunteers or other volunteers can review and make corrections on them. Strategies for detecting um, duplicates and some other things, just when flows don't go the way that you want them to. Uh, Correcting student names and categorizing students and using the flow function, and we're going to create some portrait pages. This webinar is approximately going to take about 30 to 40 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and jump in there. So once you're in the program, and by now you should have your class photos um, sent in to us, and we have those uploaded to your account. Now, if you still need to get those to us, just get in touch with your sales rep, on the best way to get those here. If you have a link, a lot of times you can share that with your rep. Or if you have some kind of zip drive, we do have other ways. You can send it over to our FTP site, or if that doesn't work, we do have options with Google Drive and Dropbox. So just make sure to talk to your rep about which the best way to go on getting your class photos to us. But once we get those, you are going to find those. We're going to go to the image library. Um, so we're going to go under the Create menu, and we're going to go to Image Library. And the first thing that popped up here was last folder I was in. So when your class photos are sent in, you'll let us know how you want those uploaded, either by grade or by teacher. By grade is less folders. Everyone in first grade, everyone in a particular grade is all in the same folder. The other method in here is by teacher. It's a little bit more broken down by individual class. Um, the setup that I kind of have right here, right now, is a by teacher setup. You'll kind of notice it'll have all the teachers' names. And if I click if you notice a little arrow beside your folders, this will let you know that you have subfolders there. So definitely click on that to check those out. Um, you'll see sometimes you may see another for like two grades under a name. So what this does is it kind of splits it up by grade this way. So in case you have a teacher that teaches maybe two different grades, um, you would see both their grades down here, or you may have two separate teachers. So if it's not designated like Atkins A and Atkins, initial like that, then you'll find that you'll have maybe an Atkins and maybe fifth grade and then another grade in here. Um, so just kind of expect that if you see a subcategory, we'll just drop that down. You'll see the folders that are underneath there. Now, one of the first things that we suggest doing is once you get your class photos or you're uploaded, is to, if you have a class list, you can review it. We have a way here. If we select the folder that has the students, so I'll select our folder. We'll see our student images over here on the right. So we're going to print a class sheet. So once we select our folder, in the buttons that are above the categories up here, we'll go to the very last one here. It says PDF Preview, and we'll click on that. And what that will do for you is it will generate a composite proof that you can then print out. Well, you can print it out, you can save it down digitally and send that out to the teachers or the volunteers um, to help you out. And at that time, they can take these. If they see like duplicates are uploaded, they can mark here and say take one out. They may say, cross students out, say moved away. So basically, there's just kind of some markup composite sheets that, they draw some dials down to help you, with your organization of photos. They may mark on here, move student to so and so class, or move to other fifth grade, or cross out a name here and put the correction down where if the student's correct name, maybe the student goes by a nickname instead of their more formal name there. um, but definitely use these to help get that information. That way it helps best your get the kiddos to the right classes, make sure all your information's tip top there. So I'll close out of that. All right, so once we get that information back, then we can kind of look at some of these things where we can do here. Um, Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at how we'll edit a student name. Um, so when we do edit a student name, what we're going to do is a couple different ways that we can go about this. This will also kind of help with duplicates as well. Um, so there's two places that you can edit a name in the program. One being here in the library. So if we double click a student, that'll bring them up in a preview window. So we got the preview here. This little bar that we have right here is called a name tag. This is the tag. And just to the side of that, the advisor will have edit. And then they will be able to edit the name. And in here, her name is Mary. Let's say that her name is Marie. So we can hit edit. You'll get this little message. It's only be used to fix, information of a selected student. Just change the misspelling. So we're going to hit edit. And I'm going to go to the name field. And I'm going to type in Marie. And I'm going to hit save. Now we're going to see that the name tag is changed here. And we can always go to the next photo, or if there's more names, or we can just hit done to close out. Now, one thing about here in the library when making a change like that, when you get back to the main preview area, you may still see that the tag is under the previous name. It just needs a refresh of this area real quick. So even if you click out to another category and then jump back, now you'll see that the name is corrected here and that. So don't worry if you change the name and you're like, oh, I swore I changed the name. Just refresh this area real quick, and you'll see your change. Now, the other area that you can go to edit names and also kind of help you look for duplicates and things like that is if we go under create, we're going to look at the coverage report here. Now, the coverage report, how this is created is when you send in your class photos, all of the names that are in the index file that are associated with those images, all of them are carried in here, and all those names are then put into this coverage report. So as you're looking through, here we have those names, and here's our one name here, Marie Abney. And so we can easily change names here. So in this spot, I'm going to actually click back here. I'm going to change the name back to Mary. So you can easily just click back into this spot and have the name changed. Now, any name change that you do here in the coverage report will reflect in the library and vice versa. So if you make change, like when we made that change in the library and came here to the coverage report, we saw that that name was already Marie. So they work together there. But we can also use this easily as you're coming through here. It'll help you search for if you're seeing certain last names, or making sure if you're looking for certain families, make sure you have all members of a particular family um, on that. If there's like 3 or 4 siblings, and maybe you only notice, if they have a particular name, maybe it's like, well, how come I only have like 3 of so and so family? So it's definitely used both to kind of um, look through, but definitely use this to kind of help you, see if there's any duplicate names. Sometimes you may come across a duplicate name, and they actually do end up being two separate children or two separate students. So definitely worth a check out if you catch those. Don't rush to delete a name, but definitely verify if it's the same student or that. You can always click on the little information eye, and it'll tell you who that person is, along with all the information. So if most of that information across here is adding up or the same, then it's most likely the same student. But here's the coverage report. Just want to let you know that you can use this area to help look for duplicates and also edit names here. Go back to the library here. Okay, so another thing that we'll show here in the library is one of the real easiest things is what happens if you have a student that's in the wrong class, and you just need to get them to the other class. So this particular one in my example and my demo here, I've got Adkins as one of my fifth grade teachers, and Weller is my other fifth grade teacher. So if we have a couple students that need to come over, move to the other class, we are just going to grab the photo and we're going to drag and drop it. Oop, drag and drop it over top of the folder that we want it to go into. So that are sure you want to move, and we'll hit move. And we'll just drag and drop to move to the correct folder. Okay. And that's all you have to do in this area to move students. So if we go into the other fifth grade folder, so here's one of the people that I moved over. So they're now sorted. They do sort themselves alphabetically here. So here's the other image. So now we have those moved over. And I think I want to get this down. Okay. I think that's just how I want it there. Okay. So another thing is, while we're going through here, is, well, I'll tell you what, we'll come back on one thing I want to show here. It's kind of what to kind of do in case you miss things. So, I mean, at best, when you're going through your class photos, before you do a lot of the flowing or building class pages, definitely review your portraits. Use the class sheets to print those out, get that information back. And then once you get those back, try to get as much as that you can as possible. And then once you have everything, you think a class is good to go. Now let's try to build that class page. So there's a few more things that we'll have to come back to the library to do, but we're going to flow here first just to kind of show you that process, and also kind of how to troubleshoot, a flow that doesn't go exactly right. Um, and that way, that I think that will help quite a bit, on some of those on what to do when you face that. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to go to plan real quick and I'm just going to find a page here. I'm going to clear off the previous stuff here. Bear with me. Okay. So let's say that we've got our class photos prepared as best as we have them, and we're ready to kind of start building some class pages. Now, when we get into the designer, there's a couple different ways that we can approach flowing a class or building a class page. One of the most simplest ways is to actually come under the Designs tab. And we'll click the drop down here, and we're going to find the portrait section of templates that are here. Now within the templates, it starts off, there's a all portraits folder. This will show you all the templates that we have here. But they are then, as you're coming down, they're broken down by photo box size. So there's 4x6. So I'm just going to click some options under there. So 4x6, I'll just drag one over. So this one it's good for like big classes, has a lot of little photo boxes that are here in that. Now, as we go up the size range, different style templates there to accommodate a little bit more. Some have names underneath. Now, the first little bit, they're all by photo box size. Now, after we get past that, the templates are recategorized again by amount of photos. Um, and this is generally where we kind of suggest having people kind of look here. What we suggest is when you are um, trying to find a template, like if you're looking for a consistency of your photo box size throughout your yearbook, if you're wanting consistency, it's best to find a template based on your largest class size. So if your largest class may have, um, let's say it has like maybe 37 people, then it's best to kind of find one of those templates that's maybe holds 40 spots and use that for all your classes, because then you'd have the same size and everything would look nice and consistent through the book. Um, so in my class that I'm flowing now, I think it roughly has about 40 kids there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a template. I'm going to go to 31 to 40 here. Yeah, I might go one up more. Here we go. Okay. So I got a class template here. Now, another thing that you can do is I'll show you one class here first, and then we'll work through a different way. All right. So we found a template and we've dropped that on our page. Now, once we have that template on the page, go ahead and click on save here. Now, the first thing on flowing a class, if you just want to flow a class into the layout, you'll come over to the flow tab on the left, and we'll go to the category dropdown. We're going to find the group that we want to flow into this template here. In my example today, we're going to go under Atkins, and I'm going to pick my 5th grade group here. Okay, so now we got our category selected. The next drop down is name format, and this is how the names will appear on the page. First last is first name will show, and first name then last name. And the other choices here, if it has that information, there's first, middle, last, but usually a lot of people will go between first last or last first. Now, even on the first last, the first name will flow in, and then the last name, but they're still sorted alphabetically by last name on that, so they're still all in order. And the next part we're going to get down to is the start and stop. Now, what these two fields do is they control the page, or what page that this category is going to flow over. So you will always want your start and stop to match the page or page range that you're flowing over. So in this case right here, I'm on page 8. So I'm going to want to make sure that my start is 8 and my stop is 8 as well. Um, Now, as we can see, it's like if we mix this up a little bit, there we go. Here, if I set this at 8 and 8, no, I don't want to do that. I want to make this off just a little bit. There we go. What I wanted to show right here is if anytime you see this little spot here is in red and it has 0 available positions, it's just letting you know that there is something that is not matching up. Maybe you don't have enough images, or you don't have enough positions of where that group is flowing to. But once you have everything, the amount of images, you have enough positions, your start and stop is um, just right. So right here, I've got 8 and 8. So that's the page that I'm flowing over, and I'm stopping on page 8 as well. I've got 41 images. I've got 41 available positions. So When this area does not is kind of just in regular gray here, you got enough spots, it's not in red, then you're good to come down and hit flow. And what that'll do is in one motion, it will bring the photos of that category and the names tagged to them and place them at your template at one time. And it is really kind of quite, as long as you have everything prepared, um, the best your class photos prepared, it really is a smooth process here. Um, so, but at sometimes you'll find that like here, okay, I've got a duplicate image. Um, Maybe you find another student that wasn't supposed to be here, or another thing is, well, what if I wanted to change the names to be larger? I flowed the class, but now I can't make the names larger or anything like that. Okay, so if you've noticed stuff like that and you have to rework the flow or redo the flow for any reason, whether it's maybe you wanted to change names and you forgot to change names before you flowed in, maybe you spot a duplicate afterwards. Um, Maybe you found another student needed to go to class. Whatever you find here, the first thing to do is to go back over and reset the flow. So we'll just go back over to the flow tab. You'll want to double check the category drop down up at the top. Just make sure it has the class that you're working with. Because if you do have, if you come back in and uh, if it lands on a different class or grade, you could accidentally reset a different page than what you were intending to do. So just double check you got the right group. Um, so I'm still in my 5th grade and I'm going to go down and hit reset. And what reset will do is it will bring everybody back out of the template. Now, one thing that you'll notice in is a flow will take away the remaining boxes that are here. But those boxes are still here. They're just hidden. Um, so in the event that, let's say that, you're going to have to either add students back or you're going to have a different, the group that you're flowing back in is going to have 2 more students or something, and you need to add a couple spots back. Um, to add spots back, you're just going to double click on the flow element here. So I'm just going to give this a double click. And when you double click on the flow element, the screen zooms in and focuses just on the element here. Now, as you see, here are those hidden spots. They're just ghosted out here. In the top corner of even like the live ones, you'll see this little eyeball icon. Now, if you come over these, if you just click it back, you can add those spots back. And now another neat thing about while I'm showing this is if you have different those if you want to play with like a stair step design, if maybe you've got maybe like this is a 40 spot template, but maybe you're just like it'd be great to knock out some of that and it would still work with like a group of 20 or something. um, you could turn those spots off just like that or something like that. But just wanted to show you all that. That's how on the flow element, how you can take spots away, or add them back in case you need them. So once you have them added back or that, just click off to the side somewhere, and we're going to go hit save. But I just wanted to show you that how to get spots back here. Um, what we're going to do, we're going to actually, because we want to take care of this duplicate image that is here. So we're going to go back to our image library. Okay, pull this right back into our folder that we were working with. Okay, so if you find that yourself, you have either a duplicate or a retake image or something like that, um, one thing that we ask or suggest or something that may help you is instead of deleting it, just marking the image as do not use. Um, and here, I'll show you how to do that. If we double click on an image, And this is the, let's say this is the copy that I don't want flowing here. Um, go under details. We'll go down to preferences, and we're going to change this from use portrait to don't use portrait. And then we're going to hit done. The advantages of marking, like if you have a duplicate, or well, let's say it's not duplicate, if you have a retake and one image is a little different than the other, the advantages of marking it as do not use is the fact that if for some reason, a little bit down the road, let's say a parent or someone's coming to you and say, hey, instead of this image that was taken, can this image be used in the yearbook? Um, well, if you're the advisor and you just marked one as do not use, it's a real quick, easy kind of reset. Mark this one as mark the other copy as do not use and put this one back as use. So it's a way to keep it there in the program, and that way you don't delete it and you find yourself in a scramble to try and be like, okay, where did we get that? Do we need to call the photographer? How do we get this image back? So it takes a lot of less of that worry out there. So that way it's just a neat way. It keeps it there. Marking it as do not use just tells the program to skip that image while you're flowing. But definitely just in here, I'll show just where to get into that again. Um, double click on the photo, go to details, we're going to preferences, and just change it to don't use portrait. Is definitely it has come to be quite handy and is saved quite a few advisors um, to come back to because they didn't delete it. They were able to quickly make that change there. So just wanted to throw that out there. Definitely something to keep in mind on that if you have retakes or something like that. Um, and also, if you're able to make that switch pretty quick, you look like a hero to the parent. So that's just an added bonus there. All right. So we've got the duplicate. So another thing here is depending on what kind of template that you have, let's say that you want the teacher to flow in with the students and maybe like take the first spot. Well, in this case, I'm going to go up. In order to do that, what you'll need to do is move a copy of the teacher image in with the class. So I'm going to go here, grab a teacher image here and put it in with the folder. All right, so once we're back in the folder, we're going to find the teacher's image. Double click on it. We'll go to details. Now, to make the teacher flow first, we'll go down to preferences, and then we're looking at this portrait type right here. By default, all images, all photos uploaded to the program, regardless of who they are, all the images are signed a portrait type of student. So how these things rank, or these little rankings right here, this hierarchy, is any photo that is marked teacher will flow first. So like if there's a teacher with this group, teacher would flow first. Um, if there is if this class had uh, like a teacher helper, a staff aide, or someone like that, you could mark them as assistant. And then there's the student. That way, that the assistant would flow right after teacher, and then student is next. And then if you're wanting someone to flow very last, there's other. So I'm going to make this teacher here. Hit done. Now, when you change the hierarchy of an image here in the library, it doesn't move position here within the library. It's still going to be sorted alphabetically. We just don't see that designation until we get back to the page designer. All right. So now that we've got the teacher added in, we've got a duplicate taken out. Then we're good to go back to the class page here. All right. Now, before I flow everybody in, one thing that I might do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to toss a dark background on here. So I'll go ahead and make it dark here. So let's say that you have a dark background, you've got dark names in that. It's like how do I format this flow element? So names could be a little bit bigger in that. Well, before flowing in, what you can do is select the flow element, and it's a lot of these changes are done before you flow stuff in. But I just kind of wanted to show a basic flowing earlier. Just that process, you flow and you hit reset to bring them back out. Um, but here, if you want to take some time, you can select your flow element, and let's change the name color. Usually, if you have a dark background, it's good to go with like a light contrasting color, something that shows up really well against there. The size of this right now is 6. Let's say that we want to bring that up to maybe 10 or so. We could do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the reason that we have a red X going through here, it's starting to say that this text now is too big for the text box that we have. So what I might do is come back here. I'll bring the size back down to 8. And that's still a little too much there. 6 is okay. Now you can sometimes manually type in here. I'll do 7. 7's a little better. I can hit bold. Okay. Now another thing you can do is, let's say that maybe that you wanted to change the photo box shape a little bit. Maybe you didn't want to be stuck with squares. Maybe you want to change them up to ovals, something like that. To do that, while you have the flow element selected, you're going to go up to this drop down right here. There's drop down just to the left of the little trash can, little flow options drop down that we have here. If you give this a click, it'll open it up. It does have to where you can change the measurements if you want to change box size in that. What we're looking for right here is portrait shape. So you could actually change your class photos from rectangle to be, if you want, you'll do circle, but circle is your oval option in here too. Um, Diamond all the way down. There is some neat parallelogram that you can do here. Um, I'm just going to go back to circle, keep them oval. And okay, so I made them oval under flow options. We've adjusted the type here, made it white, brought it up 1 point size. You could even, if you wanted it in a particular font style that you have, change the font style. Now let's say that maybe you wanted to put a simple little border around your photos. We could go down to the stroke size here. Let's see here. Okay, and one thing I wanted to change was that stroke color, and I think I need to change that. There we go. That's what it was. Um, by default, sometimes coming under this, it defaults to the text fill. It's just when you have a flow element selected, you got to go to shape stroke here. So I just want to make sure I was testing that here right before I showed you that. Okay, so now we got a simple little border on those. And let's say that, okay, let's say that we're good. Maybe that's what we're going to go with. Change the font, did a little formatting. Now, after you do any formatting on your flow element in the page, just make sure you go up and hit the save button. And then we're good to go back over to the flow tab. And we're going to pick our group, 5th grade. Um, now we only see one image of Mary Abney here. You now see that the teacher image, here's where the teacher image will show that it takes first in the flow. Our start and stop is still 8 and 8 because this is the page that we're flowing over. And then we'll go and hit flow. And then we have our flowed class with the teacher in the front. Now, one thing you may notice about the flowing is after you flow in, you'll always notice the save button is grayed out. The flow process is the only function in the program that has an automatic save built into it. Outside of that, any changes that you make, like if you go down here to change this headline or add an image, just be sure to go up and hit save before you go to another page or to another area of the program. All right. Um, what typically we're going to do here right now, we've kind of gone through all that we're going to flowing in that for today. Um, what we will do is here after we kind of wrap up, we can leave this open for a few minutes if you guys have any questions or do a little Q&A. They'll go ahead and do just kind of the wrap up summary here, and then for any of those that have questions want to stick around, we definitely get those in. Um, but definitely thank you for joining me this afternoon. The demonstration and of the functions related to the creation of portrait pages should eliminate some of the trial and error that can occur working in a yearbook. Printing your portrait sheets and editing class data ahead of time should really help in having a better accuracy on some of those most important pages of your book. So definitely feel free. Join us in a couple weeks from now. We'll be going over our building activity pages where we just kind of pick it up and go over fun pages and build layouts, to fill in the rest of the book. So thank you again, everybody, and you have a great rest of your day.